Alright, hello and welcome to the Ghoulish Game Board Making Show, i.e. otherwise known as Stampscapes. Alright, hello and welcome to the live stream, or the Stampscapes replay, kind of coming on here, impromptu-ish. But I wanted to get a few things stamped out before I have to take off here, and really felt like finishing this piece off tonight, so I want to get the imagery stamped out on this large scale, relatively speaking, for a card. 10-inch by 16-inch piece. These pieces are really large for me to be working on. I wouldn't say that I'm used to it at all, but have acclimated, I don't know, pretty fast to the size. After doing that first piece, I wouldn't say I have it down by any means, but it was a little bit easier to do than I thought it would. In terms of the blending of scenes, without regard to scale. So like this scene up here looks really large or something like that, but it's supposed to be more of like a game board or map, so they don't take, into consideration scale as much in something like that, or at all. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be just look like different zones throughout the entirety of the piece. And I don't know. I like that idea in terms of kind of a visual freedom, or compositional freedom, I guess you might say. And for me, it's a real challenge, though, because, or it was, because I'm so used to doing things that represent things that are higher, representing things that are farther away, and things that are closer, usually my foreground types of things coming in from the bottom, to represent something very close, which would be the case if we broke all these areas down into separate scenes, okay? Like this, here, 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 and here. Hello, Travel Dreamer. How are you today? I'm finishing off my compositional elements here today. I didn't really think about it too much after my after the layout yesterday. I just kind of sat down today, and I don't know, maybe things kind of spun around in the subconscious a little bit overnight. But I just kind of took a look at this today, and I just kind of put all this stuff together in, I don't know, like 2 minutes or something like that. Hello, Crazy Cat and Candy. How are you guys today? Hope you're well. We're going to put together a final piece here. I've decided to put these two elements in here again as a visual bridge between the previous composition and this one, and then I'll do it again on my final piece. It's kind of like these two characters here kind of represent the entry point of a piece, and these two kids here represent kind of the exit zone. So I thought that would be a good visual bridge between the the three pieces, whether they're to be meant to be seen together or separately. Hello, Beth. Good to see you. All right, so here's this little ant. I've used this ant on the previous piece too, and I'm going to put this ant kind of crawling along and I don't know, bothering this little skeleton right here. This is kind of the same, area that I put that ant in on the previous piece. I mean, it didn't have to. I'm not doing it right there because of that, but, I don't know. It could, like I said, it could be another kind of very, secondary kind of image that someone might, see or not when they're looking through this piece. This piece is all about kind of like discovery or something like that. I do have a bat, but I'm not going to use it in this one. The bat that I have Travel Dreamer is really large, like this right here. Unless I use this like somewhere in the third piece, like as a foreground. And then I had these ones like kind of swirling around in the background. Those aren't bats, but you know, they could represent something like that in the background. But I don't have an owl stamp, and I know that. I should say, maybe I don't know that. I don't know. I have some stamps. When I started looking through my private collection of stamps, it's like, oh, I have that train there, you know? I was telling someone that, oh, I found a train by something. I figured it was the only one I had, but I don't know, I just came across another one. I don't know. You guys all probably have images like that, right? That you bought and probably never used. I had a couple of things that I bought from I was mentioning in the other live stream that I had other images from this sale that was going on at Viva Las Vegas Stamps, where they had a collection of imagery by someone that was, you know, stepping out of their collection at the time. This is like, I don't know, 14 years ago probably, 15. And they were selling, I don't know, like there's 6,000 images or something like that. But it was all kind of funky images, you know. It was someone that did a lot of collecting in the early, well, I don't know about early 80s, but definitely like kind of the mid 80s to probably 1990, early 90s or something like that. So it was a lot of stuff like the Imaginaire, Fruit Basket Upset, you know, old imagery like that. Okay, I decided to use this little guy in my water. I found another image by Graven Images that I thought would look pretty cool, but I thought, let's put this guy kind of coming out of the water. So he's right here in this one, and the previous one he's kind of up there. I don't know, maybe I kind of put him over on the side or something like that on the third piece as like a visual narrative. So I don't know. It's like all the, I don't know, maybe it is like a kind of a Find Waldo type of thing, you know, from one piece to the next, but it's supposed to be kind of fun, you know. It's like one of those, what was it? I think it was in Highlights magazine. Anyone remember Highlights magazine? I don't know, either seeing it as a kid or showing it to kids, but there used to be that one section that was a drawing, and there was a little key, you know, of all the things that were in the picture that you were to find. I always loved that type of thing. But this type of thing, you know, with all this type of imagery in here, it's supposed to be kind of, and not sensory overload or anything like that, but I don't know. It's discovery. I don't know. Someone mentioned it to me. I sent it to my exchange group, and I don't know. I sent like a large format piece of it, and they said that they enjoyed really blowing it up and going around and looking at all the different areas like that. Oh, I'm glad you like the beaver habitat. I haven't used those beavers in quite some time, so that was really fun for me. All right, one thing that I had a chance to do right before this video is I had a chance to clean off my tack and peel. Man, it was so dirty, or dusty, I should say. So I had a chance to clean this off. I was trying to stick my images on the tack and peel, which is a little substance, if you don't know, that sticks to your acrylic blocks like this, and it creates, I don't know what it is it's made out of. It feels like rubber or something like that. It's like the sheet with permanent adhesive on one side and this temporary adhesive on the other, so you can stick your unmounted rubber onto it and use it in that temporary mounting system. But all my, you know, it's like several of my blocks were all kind of coated in dust before this. Or before my last piece. Yeah, but the beaver habitat's really fun. I'm not done with that beaver one. You know, I should do a beaver piece on a 10 by 16 like this. I wanted to create this kind of grand image akin to this movie that I really like. It's a documentary on beavers. And the last scene is this crane shot going up into the air and showing this big, huge, kind of, really well established beaver habitat. And it was just a beautiful shot and something that I always kind of sticks with me. Okay, so a little bit of a deer like that in the shadows. This is all going to be really dark, so it's just going to be this little silhouette-y type of um, area in there with, that deer with some glowing eyes. Yeah, highlights. Weren't those really cool books? I really love those. Um, I don't think I had a subscription to that, but it was always one of those things that was like at the dentist office or something like that, that I would look through, or like in school, like in your classroom area. But the thing is that you'd have to find one, um, one of those highlights books where someone hasn't like circled the found images in that kind of whatever you call it, seek and find, or I don't know, whatever you call those little that section there. Look and find. Oh, thank you, Beth. Yeah, 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 yeah. I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't read that. Yeah, the doctor's offices, the highlights. Yeah, love those books. Crazy Cat. I think I would look at that one too if I found highlights. I don't know, in some doctor's office waiting for my kid or something like that. I don't know. Maybe if I had an appointment, I would go and try. I'd do the look and find if they still do that. So that's another thing you guys can all do. You can do, if you're doing a scene or something like that, do a look and find or something like that. This Halloween format too is perfect for that. You know, kind of bury things in, against, I don't know, like a texture or tree or something like that. Hide something in the bark. It's one of those things where a lot of times we want clarity. Oops, I kind of stamped that in front of the tree. It's supposed to be behind the tree, but we're going to be darkening it in anyway. But yeah, it's kind of, when we think about things like that and creating those types of projects, it's like, see, if I put in like an ant crawling up this tree or something like that and kind of darken it in a little bit, normally I'd want clarity for those types of little subject matters, but I'm absolutely fine with really obscuring things or just really kind of, I don't know, filling a lot of this stuff in and not really worried about clarity of imagery. We can obscure it. In fact, some of the point would be to obscure a lot of it. Like that. I don't know. You can do that just with anything, I guess. If you have a lot of Christmas imagery, why not do something like that? Or, what might be kind of interesting is an advent calendar. If you kind of put a piece of tracing paper over this or something like that, and then you just put these little doors over certain things, right? And then you take that and then you transfer it to, another thing like this. Or I don't know, you can do something like this where you just open up wherever within there. You can kind of open it up and, show like different little things, the Advent Halloween calendar countdown or something like that. And, you can start on a map like this. It's like it's the start or whatever and go over. And then I wouldn't connect it to it. I'd do it where you can flip that over and you can see the whole thing too. And it wouldn't be for kids because kids would just pop it open, on day one and see the whole thing. But I don't know. It seems like you can do certain things like that. Or, you can create, maybe the last piece, you'd have a little bit of a kind of, rainbow foil or something like that. Some kind of really, treat type of thing at the end. I don't know. Something like that wouldn't be good for kids. You'd give that to some other stamper or something like that if you wanted to do that. kids these days, it wouldn't, something like that would be kind of, I don't know, it may be cool for some, but I don't know, with, playing like video games and iPads these days, I don't know, something like that would be terribly, you know, immersive an experience for them, with the patience to kind of sit through something like that. Bought some tack and peel. Got it, got it. Good, crazy cat lady. Yeah, so it's going to get all kind of um, mucked up, you know what I mean? It'll get a little bit stained once in a while, okay? But just you put it under just running water and just rub it off with your hand. And then I don't know, for me it dried like in, I don't know, like 2 minutes or something like that. But don't, just don't dry it off with like a paper towel or something like that. Otherwise it's going to get all um, kind of dusty again. So just let it air dry. Some of the stack and peel at this point in time for me, I think my oldest one is this one. Make sure that you don't lose this little plastic sheet, unless you have something else to replace it, this stuff that comes with it, so you can put it back on. I'm always losing mine kind of on my table. I mean, I find it eventually, it's underneath some stamps or something like that, but I don't know, I should put like an X through that or something on there, like a fluorescent little sticker dot, permanent dot or something like that then, because this is, easy to lose, like, you know what I mean, like that, you go like that, put a stamp down, it's like, where did that small piece go? Like on my smallest one, I have no idea where this one went, so I just leave my little tiny rock small in there that I'm using all the time. But that's my tips for that. But the stuff just works. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it can work potentially for like 30 years, unless they've changed the formula or something like that. I really doubt if they did. But I hope it's around for a long time. I don't know how many people are using it. Some people used to use it, but not a huge amount. And that type of material used to be found in, like Michael's and Hobby Lobby, all those different types of stores. But I don't know if they carry it anymore, because I don't know if the general public really knows about that type of thing, because a lot of people are using clear stamps, so you don't need that type of thing. The majority of people, I think, are, it's a clear stamp kind of world. Unfortunately for rubber, because rubber gives like so much better of an impression, and it lasts longer. But yeah, if you don't need like your stamps to last, for too long. I know people that have stamps that are really kind of the clear ones that are breaking apart at this point in time, some of those early ones that came out. But they stopped giving like really good impressions like a long time ago. But anyways, yeah, that's my take on the tack and peel. Okay, now I stamped this one out with dye-based ink as opposed to the StazOn, just because I'd have more control over the value that I stamp it out in. I knew it wasn't going to dry up if I start wiping it around on the perimeter like that. But see how this, if you wipe off your perimeters about a ½ inch in this larger size like that, you blot off the perimeter like that, okay? Like this. You don't go like do like a hard line like that or something like that where it's going to be this abrupt ending, but you kind of dab it off like this where it's going from wet to dry like that, okay? And then when you stamp out these, rectangle shapes like that, it's not giving you this really super hard line. As a matter of fact, you see how that just kind of, blends in with the surrounding area, and that's stamping it out in the darkest color you can in black, okay? So you dab off the perimeter like this, and that's the technique that you can do on any type of stamp that has this transition zones. So for me, I always render my images with transition zones like this, because I plan on utilizing this with other surrounding types of images. In this case, it would be some additional clouds or something like that. But this stamp has also been made at a scale where if you're doing a quarter-page card, it pretty much fills in from side to side, and you don't have to do, additional things on the side because it fills in that entire space. But if you stamp it this way, and it's right smack dab in the middle, you're going to have a little bit of that perimeter like that. So transition zones, it could be on anything, okay? And something like this with even more condensed dots, it's even more of a factor to just kind of blot it off. You don't have to, but it just kind of makes things, the transitions between those images and the next ones next to it, just so much easier to blend in with themselves. Okay, so anyway, let's see. Let me see what someone said here. Yeah, zombie deer. Let's see. Tack and peel, zombie deer. I brought them in my classroom as a teacher. Put a sheet of acetate in so that I can dry erase. Oh, that's a great idea. How do you get permanent ink off? Are you, let me see, Candy, were you referring to me? And the stamps with tack and peel? I mean, not tack and peel, but the stays on. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do this one too. I want this one to be really... Okay, I'm flipping this upside down so I can have access to this, but this cloud is going to be up here. This cloud is really going to be a good visual bridge between the three different monster maps. Oh, yeah. The permanent ink off the tack and peel you're probably talking about, right, Candy? Sorry. I blab on for too long and I don't read the things. But I don't know. Let me see. I'm trying to think of if I've had permanent ink on my tack and peel. I've definitely had dye-based ink, but at one point in time when my tack and peel just got too stained, you know, just black stains everywhere, I just took a scouring, you know, those green styles of kitchen scouring things, and like this area right here, it has black ink on it. I just scoured it off. Now, the one thing about doing that is that the tack and peel is pretty transparent, but if you scour it off with that, it doesn't affect, you know, for me, it didn't affect the tackiness of the surface, but it did affect the transparency, and it looked a lot more foggy looking and translucent. But you're talking about a piece of tack and peel that was probably 15 years old. It was my oldest one that I did that to. Okay, so I couldn't see through it as well anymore. But again, if it's if it's between that and a bunch of like black stained tack and peel, I'll take the translucency and clean. All right. For me though, I don't know. I'm not really too worried about it being clean, because I was introduced to tack and peel by this guy named Ken Pescio, who taught a lot of Stampscapes classes out in Arizona, and he was really familiar with a lot of the different tools and things out there. And he showed, I wasn't using tack and peel at the time, but he showed me his, and his piece was about this size right here, and it was absolutely black. And he just washes it off. He wasn't worried about that, you know. Having completely blacked out tack and peel, it didn't affect the function of it at all. So, you know, if mine have a little bit of staining on it or quite a bit of staining, it wasn't anything compared to his, you know. So that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about tack and peel. You know, everything's kind of relative, isn't it? You know. All right. Yeah. Stained is good, Candy. A good stained stamp, stained fingers, and stained tools. Stained wood-mounted stamps. That is some good stamping fun. There's someone here that probably cleans off their stamps like absolutely immaculate. And as long as you're using them and having fun, that's good too. Hello, Jeannie. Detailed scary ghost stamps, but hard as a rock. Oh, okay, now I was just talking with someone about that bought like some old stamps. And I was trying to remember what someone treated their stamps with. I thought it was, I don't know, for some reason in my head I was thinking of linseed oil, but it wasn't that, it was glycerin, right? Isn't that, has everyone had the kind of that, advice before on cleaning stamps. I mean, not cleaning stamps, but kind of reinvigorating the dried out ones a little bit. I've never done it before, but that's what I've heard. But that's the problem of not going with 100% red rubber. Or, I mean, it could be 100% red rubber that, that was just stored in some, maybe it was some in someone's garage, for years and years or something like that. Unless, I don't know, did you get those brand new candy and you had them? But if a manufacturer doesn't use that 100% red rubber, there's often that filler. I mentioned this the other day to people, but there's rubber that has a clay filling to it. And some of that stuff was really, really bad. It was, I don't know. I worked at a Stamp of the Hand, and at the time, I don't think they were 5 years old. And they had some rubber that was sitting on the shelf, for a couple of years at that point in time. And it was already getting hard, and it was that filler clay. I mean, filler rubber. And it was just really brittle. It might have been brittle right out of the gate too, if when they were doing the vulcanizing and the pressing of that rubber, they did it at too high of a temperature, and I don't know, it just gave it a brittle kind of real porous surface to it. So you're not too late, Bugs. You're right on time. But we were waiting for you and waiting for you. We were saying, where's Bugs, We just got to start. I'm joking. Okay, so anyways, yeah. We were just, okay, so if anyone's just joined in, I had a lot of this done yesterday, but I wanted to finish off the layout for this one. I'm looking around for different opportunities here, but I'm really filling this in. There's a lot of just kind of in its impression form like this. I added a little bit of tone down here with a lot of texture in repetition in the previous video, but on this one I just wanted to finish off this layout here. I got to take off in about a half an hour and go pick up my kid from school, but I figured I can get in all this additional filler stuff done before we start getting to the toning and finishing off. I can't wait to finish this one off with the shadow work and everything like that. I'm going to add a couple other ants in here. Anyone getting attacked by ants, or not attacked by them, but ant infestation this summer, like we have? I don't care about the ants outdoors, they serve their purpose in the ecosystem and whatever, but I just don't want them indoors. Okay, one of the things, if you just joined in, one of the things that we were talking about was, these types of pieces like this almost can almost be like a, like one of those, highlights magazines. What was that? I can't remember what those are called. Seek and Find or whatever. Look. I don't know. Help me out again. Whoever knew that again? Hello, Betty. Good to see you. Oh, thanks, Travel Dreamer. Yeah, the thumbs up really helps out here. Oh, Candy tried the glycerin. It didn't help, huh? It sounds like to me, if it's still brittle, right? You put them in brown sugar container with an apple slice, like loosening up brown sugar, huh? Are you talking about the rubber here, Bugs? I've lost context here. Let's see. Hello, Don. Good to see you. Seek and Find. Yeah, okay. All right. But yeah, these types of things like this absolute clutter here, of a surface can be somewhat like a seek and find, I mean, I love those types of things in those types of magazines like that. So, I would never put like something like an ant in that type of background there normally because it would be kind of totally obscured in all that thing. And then I'm going to darken it in anyways, but we want to make these, I think, we want to make them pretty dense. I was going to say as dense as possible, but maybe that's not, an accurate description. Yeah, but having a, dense with, kind of playful types of uh, imagery like that and things, I don't know, discoveries, I guess. Filling it up with discoveries, I think, is a good thing to do here. Let me see. Oh, here we go. I had this little pond right here, and I have found my little frog. This one's by 100 proof press. Let me see if this thing's... I don't think that this is registered really well. See this right here? See how this is like right on the edge right here, but the leg is like, I don't know, way up there. This one's hard to register. The block is a little bit too big for this. And then when they press this, they didn't get it terribly registered. So watch out for your kind of older stamps. I always made sure on my stamps, Oh, this is Visions of Ink, sorry. Let me see. So if I stamp this out, I just need to know where I'm stamping it. I'm going to stamp this guy jumping into the water right there. I loved Visions of Ink. They had some really funky imagery. I'd always see them at the Carson convention. He was this kind of hippie kind of guy, you know what I mean? Yeah, in a good way. With all of his images. I forgot, I was talking with him about some artist back then. I think maybe it was, I don't know, it was like, what was that guy? Peter, who was that guy? Peter something, I don't know. It was like pop art era or 70s, And I think he was like a big fan. I don't know. He was a big fan of someone, this kind of more obscure artist that, than I knew of. I didn't know personally, but I don't know. Those types of things, though, those types of companies were like, I don't know. They weren't around very long. Cute is more popular, and it's understandable too, more than obscure and funky, the very description of it, obscure, you know what I mean? It's not going to be mainstream. Okay, so Visions of Ink, that surprised me. I thought that was 100 proof press for sure, because that one looked like a more of a copyright-free clip art type of image. All right, so we have a little guy jumping in here, swimming around in here. Hello, Beverly. Thanks for joining in here. If the stamp is a list cause, before throwing it out, try the conditioner that you use for car tires. Yeah. I agree with that one. You know what? One of the things, I have some stamps like that from other companies, and I think what I did was I don't remember this now, because a lot of times if I have a stamp like that, I just don't bother, but I think there was something where I wanted to use it, and I think I put on simple green or something like that, and I thought it helped. I don't know. Someone always knows these things. Peter Max. Thank you so much, Matt. Yeah, thank you. Otherwise, that would have bothered me. Yeah, but I think it was Peter Max that he and I were, we were talking about. Okay, but anyways, yeah, look at all this stuff going on here. It seems like I could use something else up there, I don't know. If I put that kind of more vertical, I could have put another eyeball up there or something like that. Maybe that would have been too much, though. I think I don't know, that eyeball, I can put an eyeball right across that moon there too. It's so big now that I'm thinking about it. Let's see how that moon looks. Oh, okay, so we're talking about bats or something like this. These are just supposed to be like a little, kind of like a thermal of birds going up in the sky. And I think I would just stamp out like a couple of these like this. I would ink up like 5 of them and put them right in front of that, like that. And I think that might be good there. Or just, I don't know, it's just something flying in front of that. But you can do anything. If I had a little witch on a broomstick, you know, I don't know, maybe that would be too kind of, you know, I kind of, I kind of, not iconic, but too common of a Halloween type of iconography. But something like that might be kind of cool. Anything flying in front of that would be good, though. So, let's see. I'm looking at this. And again, yeah, here's that little devil like that. No, I don't like this guy going in. Do you know why I went and use this one right here, though? It's for kind of sequential types of purposes. It's stamped this. There's another piece to come after this one, a third piece, okay? And if it's a sequential piece where we're looking at that first scene that I did, and it's like you're switching a page, or if this was a two-page spread and you're flipping the page to the next one, I want this, most things to be kind of on this side of the page to be looking this way. Okay, so see, these guys are kind of, they're kind of configured where they're going in this way. Their backs are to this way. These guys' backs are, to this side. This guy's kind of going this way. And these ants are going that way, but they're, really kind of secondary, of an image. But I'd want that, and I don't have a mirror stamping piece. I don't know, I could probably find a piece of blank rubber around here somewhere that I can do that with, that's large enough. But I'd want it coming in from this way. But you see how that would look, if you can kind of imagine them flipped around. From a compositional standpoint, it would just be better. And here, this one's bigger too, and this one's smaller, so it's kind of funneling in like this little space like that. This little image right here, and this one right here, they're kind of faced inward too, this way. But I don't know, it's going to, it's to keep that kind of compositional narrative going. Accordingly, you don't have to do everything like that, but just if I put this in that little guy like that, flying in front of like the light source of the scene, it's too. For me, it would be too, big of an image, if I could help it. If I absolutely wanted to get it in there, I would. Okay, so keep to some rules and things, but then throw a lot of other things out, All right, so let's see. True Dreamer meant if the stamp is a lost cause. Yeah, that's what you meant there. I'd love the Peter Max, yeah. Oh, you have one of those lithos. Bugs has it there, Yeah. We got a Peter Max room right here. When do we ever talk? When does Peter Max, the artist, ever come up in conversation? It's awesome that you guys all know that. And you have a litho sitting in your room. How awesome is that? Okay, let's see here. I think I'm ready to start toning in here a little bit. I guess I might as well get started. I was just going to do the imagery on this one right here. We have a little bit of space in here for some other types of things if I wanted to, but I think I want this kind of left open right here for this little silhouette of a face like that. I don't know, let's just get right into it. Oh, let me see, down here in this water, I could add in a little bit of water texturing to it. Let's go ahead and do that. Now that I didn't add any water texture in this area like down there yet because I didn't know what I was going to stamp in there, if anything. I definitely wanted to stamp something, but did I show you that? Yeah, I was going to have this thing too. This thing was going to be coming out of the water before I decided to do this little creature like that. So if I didn't mention, this is by Graven Images in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 1996. I don't think they were around much longer after that. These both are Graven Images. I bought these at I'm pretty sure I got them at Stampa Barbara, but I don't remember which Stampa Barbara it was. Either in Santa Barbara or in Orange County, California. Okay, see that little area down there? See how it's I'm just kind of tapping that little texturing. I have to move this thing around so much here. Here, let me get zoomed in for you. But see, when you get into these textures like this, I'm getting a lot more liberal with my textural usage. Like I never would have done like that as extreme before. I know that looks all sloppy, but you know, when you add in the extra tone, that just becomes tone. And then I'm going to add in some little crisp impressions after I get all this colored in of those same rocks like that. But see this right down here? So you're using textures like this. If someone's like new to scenic stamping, they're going to go like this, and they're going to fill in, you know, with the side-by-side type of usage. And that's, you know, how this has been designed to be used at its base kind of, I don't know, whatever usage technique, okay? But see, a lot of times I'm just like using the top half of this, so you just kind of use it, you know, at an angle to get what you want. Like if I don't want this whole thing like that, then just tilt it up. And you can do that with any textures, you know, the sedge filler, if you're familiar with the Stampscapes line, sedge filler, pebbles, any type of rocks or anything like that. And then you can get yourself, you can give yourself a really great head start to toning. See, it looks like a shadow at the base of that, but it's a textural shadow that kind of fits with the, you know, the substance that that creature is in. So up here, it's a lot of tone, but it's with the rock texture like that, you know. I don't know, I've seen people use even water types of textures in skies, you know, to create clouds, and I've seen people use sky textures down in the water. Not really so much of the cumulus cloud, but more of the cloud strips or something like that to create water textures, and you can do that too. So, you know, look at your stamps in kind of ways beyond the imagery, okay? And using it for whatever toning devices or something like that. So I teach people, you know, that in my first class too. It's like breaking apart a design just using a certain portion of it. A large tree, using the tree top, you know, just for a smaller tree or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm using these things more for like textural types of toning devices now, which people have done in the past. I don't know, I just haven't as much as I am now. I'm talking about within the last, like, I don't know, like 2 weeks. I'm a slow learner, believe it or not, with a lot of things. Hello, Linda. How's everything going? Okay, I'm going to add in a little bit of an extra tree area here. Okay. Oops. I have the tree kind of coming out of his back because I didn't mask off, so I'll put a little bit of a white pigment ink in there. I mean, not white, acrylic paint pen, I should say. So if you lose anything that you, or stamp over something that you shouldn't have done, white acrylic paint pen. It will solve a lot of issues. Okay, so let me see here. Yeah, okay, actually, I like this tree in here. This is the Leafless Lens Small. It was probably, this one, the larger one, used to be one of my favorite stamps, and I just use it all the time when I started this company, because it was something that you can stamp afterwards, before, and it was solid, but it was spindly. You can see through it on the things that were happening behind it, but you would get the benefit of having it in there to create extra depth in your whatever scene scenarios. All right, let's see. Let's go. It's definitely getting denser with textures in here. I think than the previous video, you know, the previous scene that I did. You got a skeleton tree next to a skeleton. How's that? I'm stamping my scene while you are finishing yours. Oh, awesome, Linda. Large format, right? Linda has left the small format behind. She is now working on like 10 by 20 feet murals now in stamping. But who knows, huh, Linda? Like you were saying, maybe we've seen the last of your quarter page, standard card size pieces. Unless you're doing something else for purpose, but for your own kind of, private, you know, stamping for yourself pieces, large formats. Um, because we're not, you're not mailing around like a greeting card like this quite often. You'd have to get like specialized mailers, that can fit that, those tabloid sized pieces. But awesome, yeah, yeah. Stamp along. Is it the Halloween? Are you doing a Halloween piece, Linda? Like, like a map like this? Yeah, yeah, Peter Max, yeah. Those bold lines like that. Bold lines, bold colors. I always liked it. I mean, it wasn't the Yellow Submarine, the movie. I don't know. It kind of reminded me, his work, I don't know what came before. I don't know if Peter Max came before and Yellow Submarine referenced them or vice versa or something like that, or if it was just in the general kind of, thing that was going on. But his pieces always kind of reminded me of that. And growing up, Yellow Submarine, I love that movie. It would come on periodically too. Um, but yeah, yeah, always love that stuff. Especially like that segment with like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds or something like that. It kind of reminded me of Peter Max's work. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more tone. I was going to put something in here, but I was looking at this and I thought that I would leave it open like that. Okay, I'll put in some more additional textures, but I thought it would clutter this area a little bit if I put in some trees or something like that. I don't know, we can put in another ant or something like that, but or I don't know, we can put like an additional skull sitting out of the road. It feels weird kind of describing the stamping scenarios. Yeah, we're gonna put that that head coming out of the ground over here. I'm not usually saying that in a live stream. It's usually something like, okay, this tree is going to go over here, and I think maybe we can get a little bit more, of a deeper green. Not, we can have, these ants eating the skeleton. All right, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that would be like way too big, the skull sticking out of the ground. But we do have another whole 10 by 16 piece to come, so we'll see what makes the cut on that one. All right, so let's see. Okay, let me go with a couple more little textural types of things in here just to kind of break up that a little bit more. I'm also not used to constantly capping my pads and things like that like I have to with the StazOn, huh? Something nice and prickly like that. Little passageway into the piece. One of the things I mentioned somewhere, I think when I posted that last piece, is I'm pretty sure that last piece that I did was the most stamps I think I've used in a single scene before. Hello, Kay. Angeline, good to see you. Um, hello, Rose. Um, I'm pretty sure this is the most text. This is the biggest textural piece I've ever done. So the most stamps that I ever done in the previous scene, I'm sure that this one is the most textural that I've used. And I'm really kind of leaning into like all of these textural pieces right here, of the rocks and grass. Sorry, these right here, to unify all this and to give it, that kind of that textural kind of diversity within this piece. Hopefully it's not looking like so cluttered though. I mean it is, but I'm just imagining it with the tone in there too. I'm using the StazOn, and because I want it to dry instantly. I don't want to be like stamping over here. It's so big, Rose, that if I stamp it in something and then and also one of the things is, Rose, I don't want any of this to be bleeding because I'm going to use a ton of dye-based inks in here to tone this in. And I just don't want any kind of issues with it smearing. So that eradicates that. And because this is, I'm not really going for a lot of tonal kind of transitions in the impressions like I normally do with dye-based inks. I did it a little bit up here because I wanted to have a lot of control over that cloud structuring up there and the blending of it. So I went with the dye-based inks for that. But when I start toning in right here in these fine detail types of things, I just don't want to have to think, or I don't want to have to consider the any type of issues when it comes to smearing too. So I just did it in StazOn. And I'm starting to use StazOn more and more. It gives me better, darker impressions than I thought it would. I don't know. It might even be darker. I don't know. Whoever's familiar with the Marvy inks and StazOn, would you say that the StazOn is darker than the Marvy black too? I don't know. It might be. The one problem with the StazOn though, unless I just absolutely re-ink it right away, see, like this is in StazOn right here, and it's just so large of an image that it's just drying, and then I stamp it down there, and then there's some areas that are kind of a little bit broken up in the impression. It seems like the larger images with a lot of space, when I stamp it down like that, I have a feeling that some of it is just drying so fast that maybe it didn't transfer. So I get a little of these blotchy areas in this. And again, it's not like right in here too. If I just re-ink it right before I use it, I don't get that. But I don't know. Are you supposed to re-ink every time you use StazOn? You know, if you haven't inked it up in like a couple days, I don't know. But I'm definitely not used to having to re-ink all the time like that. I experienced the same thing with the Brilliance inks, the Brilliance pigment inks, black. I have to pretty much ink it up just about every time that I'm using it. Okay, so that being said, let me see something right here too. I want to see if I can get some nice clean impressions with this. I was using this little tiny rocks as like a toning device right in here. And I was going to do this at the end, but maybe I'll just do it right now. So I'm just going to go for some real clean impressions of it now. Over the top of all that tone in there where I've used it. Because now, I've placed all my little figurines and stuff like that, so I can work around them with this. See, that's like my skeletons in there, so I'll give this a real crisp impression of this in here now. Where I wouldn't want that underneath like a leg like that, because it would just show right through, the open skeleton legs. So you get everything kind of placed out like that, and then do this. I can do this at the end too, like after I tone everything in, then maybe you can do your assessment as far as where you can add in additional textures and whatnot. But see, it's like right here, say I can put this around this little figure right this. If you did it already on there, I mean, you could stamp that out, but you kind of have to define that skeleton silhouette with like a white acrylic, paint pen or something like that to bring it back out. So but yeah, the stay is on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried about. And also, one of the things I'm not worried about either is. Can you guys hear that? My alarm's going off. I got to take off here and go pick up my kid. I'll be back on later on today to start toning this in. But yeah, I don't have to worry about all that. Oh, and I'm not worried about cleaning these off either. Because I'm finding that the StazOn just comes right off of the rubber just with water too, so I'm not worried about that at all. Okay, let's see. Linda did 11 by 17 trimmed. Okay, not ready for stamping on walls. Yeah. 8.5 by... Okay, legal size with candy, right? That's a good size to work on. I have never done a legal size piece before. Starring your ink pads upside down. Oh, yeah. Okay, now that's something that I never like to do with dye-based inks because I didn't want it so ink on the surface. But definitely, I think that with the Brilliance inks, the faster drying ones, I'm going to do that. Crazy Cat. Yeah. Let me see. Ink settles at the top of the pad. However, you use it so much that you probably do need to ink frequently. Okay. Yeah. Okay, folks, I'm going to call this session right here done. I am ready to just go straight in and start toning this in later on today. I might come back on in about a half an hour. I know it doesn't take long to pick them up, but yeah. So, I don't know. I'm eager to get in this, I don't want to stop doing this. That's why, when we're stamping like at late at night at, I don't know, we end up looking at the clock and it's 4 a.m. All right. So anyways, end of part 2, part 3, and the finishing, I think, of this piece. I don't know. There might be a part 4 or something like this, but I think I can get all the toning in on another session here coming up in a little bit. So anyways, if any of you are around and feel inclined, we'll see you at that session. All right? All right.